If you can hear me, please type a lowercase h in the chat. We'll wait a minute. All right, Paisley can hear us. I think we should get started. How about you? Excuse me, I found some mints just a few minutes ago. Stay fresh. Good evening, my fellow Americans, and welcome back to the third Fireside Chat. I'm your host, Kyle M. Gresco. Tonight we are listening to the B-side of the John Williams score, Close Encounters of the Third Kind. The date is April 5th in the year of our Lord 2020. That's 2020. And I'm feeling alright. Got a bit of an itch behind my ear, but whatever. Alright. I think we'll get started. I think we'll just jump right into it. First of all, good morning. We got a couple of bits of things on our agenda for tonight. We have 5.5 things that I have written down in my notes. We're going to cover politics. That's basically it. We're just going to, it's fine. Alright, step one in our journey. Really hope my mom doesn't send this to anyone. Congratulations, you made it to April. That means we have entered our year-long 420. Not year-long, month-long. Should I just start over? No, we're not going to start over. Welcome. You made it to your first ever month-long 420. I'm proud of you. Maybe you can make it to another one. Second up, and maybe our first important order of business, but it's more up to consumer choice. Politics are still happening. The DNC moved their convention a month back, but politics go on nonetheless. Bernie Sanders has entered what seems to be the ideal situation for him to prove his policy ideas. However, he's not president yet, so it doesn't really matter. Joe Biden, on the other hand, has completely disappeared, except for a thumbs up in an online DJ thing. I wasn't watching. Anyway, in terms of delegates to receiving the Democratic nomination, Joe Biden is 300 ahead of the burn, but he's still 700 delegates away from the total needed in order to become the Democratic candidate for president. This means that while he may, and it looks like he will, win the candidacy, Bernie does still have a chance. I will be referring to Biden as Biden and Bernie as Bernie. I don't know why. That's just how it is, man. Let's take a look at chat. No, I don't care. So Joe Biden, with his 300 delegate lead, naturally is looking to the future. First order of business for him, he needs a vice president. Joe Biden needs a running mate. And so he has begun the gradual search for his vice president. Now, he has come out publicly and said that he is not a rapist, but also that he will be having a woman as his vice. This is a big move because Joe Biden is old, white, and male. So he could use some diversity. The same could be said of Bernie Sanders, but Bernie Sanders has... Excuse me. Bernie Sanders has stated that he would rather go for a more qualified candidate rather than a diverse candidate. Biden has said he will have a... Oh, what's the word I wrote down? A committee formed by mid-month that will be approximately April 15th. 30 days has September, April, June, and November. When short February is done, all the rest of 31. April 15th, be on the lookout for your Joe Biden committee. Now, this brings up the good question. Who will be Joe Biden's running mate? Of course, we know two things. They'll be Democratic, and they'll be a woman. So here's the list of names that I've wrangled up. Warren, Harris, Klobuchar, maybe Pete Buttigieg? Probably not Pete Buttigieg. Biden might be old, so he might be confusing gay and female. Who knows? He's old, and he's got dementia a little bit. Also, And this is a bit of an out of nowhere shot. I had to read the Wikipedia page for this person. Michigan Governor Gretchen Whitmer. Gretchen Whitmer. She's from Michigan. She's the governor. It's her first term. She was elected in 2018. Now, you might be asking, who's that? She's the governor of Michigan. I said that already. Maybe you should pay better attention. She got elected because of her heavy emphasis on infrastructure improvements, which is very important in today's crumbling society. Bridges have not been maintained in over 20 years in some places. In Texas, there are not nearly enough inspectors to, if they each inspected a dam per day, do it in a year. It would take multiple years. There's just not enough. Roads are unsafe. Bridges aren't doing so hot either. Tunnels kind of suck if a tunnel collapsed on you. And especially with increasing natural disasters, this is a serious worry for the American future. So Whitmer might be a good option. Another heavy option, Kamala Harris. You might remember her. Another option, Amy Klobuchar. She was a very tight candidate, running right until the primaries started. I didn't know much about her, and I refuse to look up anything else about her now, but she was very similar to Joe Biden in terms of policy. That's right, Joe Biden. When I was reading these articles, I was, reading, and there was one quote from Joe Biden that was very interesting. He said that if God told him that he would be president tomorrow, he would be able to figure out most of his cabinet. Most, if not all of his cabinet. This is in stark contrast to current President Donald Trump, who has never had a cabinet as far as I'm concerned. I'd like to pause to look at chat. I will not talk about Carol Baskin, because whenever I think of Carol Baskin, I think of Baskin Robbins, and then I just want ice cream. Back to the news. I'd like to once again update you on which colleges are open as of right now. We noticed last week that there were some technical difficulties with being able to see. So we have attempted a fix, and we hope it works. That concludes our list of colleges that is still open. Well, is zero a singular? That is the eternal question, really, when you think about it. I hope you heard that crunch. That was my mint. Let's take a pause to look at chat. Alright. Number 4 on our list is the music world. As always, I like to take a look at the music world because it's one of the few things I feel like I can talk about and not make a complete fool of myself over. There's not much news that I noticed. I watched Anthony Antano's review of John Bellion's album, The Human Condition, and I thought, I wrote down my thoughts. I mean, he's kind of right about a lot of things. Like, production is inventive, lyrics kind of suck. My one qualm with the review, which he gave a 5 out of 10 to The Human Condition, by the way, my one qualm was that he didn't mention Hand of God, the last track on the album, at all, which seems like a pivotal moment in the album. But you know what? I respect D'Anthony Mantano. Second up, Steve Gresco has put a lot of effort into revamping and re-recording a song he wrote for Easter. It will be played this Easter at the Crossroads Methodist Church in Ashburn. And by played, I mean it'll be recorded and they'll put some fancy nature shots over it or whatever. You know, it's a church. This is notable because Steve's my dad. news, it's time for our new recurring segment that we started last week. The lyric of the week, or whatever I called it. I don't really remember. I don't check my notes. Remember, you can submit your lyric ideas to kylegresko@gmail.com. That's KYLEGRESKO at gmail.com. KYLEGRESKO at gmail.com. Your submissions will be read. Will they be used? Maybe. None will be used this week. Instead, the producers opted for a quote from the Ben Folds 5 song, Hold That Thought, from the album Sounds of the Life of the Mind. Quote, did you ever see the film where a man is given spectacles that makes the world look upside down? He falls about the place, but in time he somehow readjusts. But when they take the glasses off, the eyes he's always had see sky below him, and he falls again. I'd like to take a moment to hold that thought, and I'd like to pause to look at chat. We only have 1.5 more items left. How long have we been running tonight? This feels a lot faster. Oh, it's not. It's not faster. That's good to know. I thought this was clever. My next title heading in my notes is CDC and the big V. V for virus, of course. We had a update to the CDC guidelines this week. I don't remember on what day it happened, but it was there. If you'll excuse me for one moment. We had an update to the CDC guidelines on wearing a mask. It was recommended that all people, all of them, every single people, wear a mask in public. Now, understandably, not all masks could be bought because, you know, hospitals and stuff. Who'd have thought? But the CDC has published many videos and many other methods of finding your own homemade masks. The recommendations are multiple layers, does not restrict breathing, has little strappy boys to hold it around your ears or pin it up or, you know, make it work. And it's washable. They want these to be reusable masks because pollution kind of sucks. In other news, almost every state in the United States of America has issued a stay-at-home order for the citizens and non-citizens living in their states. Stay-at-home orders mean you stay at home, you don't leave, you only leave if you need groceries. Do not leave your house. Do not leave your house. The only states that I could find, and this is all with data from yesterday because Google hates me, not all Oklahoma counties are under stay-at-home orders. There are some, such as Oklahoma City, that have instituted their own orders, but there is not a statewide order. Additionally, South County and Utah are in similar, South Carolina, my bad, and Utah are in similar boats, whereas there are not statewide stay-at-home orders, but there are county-wide stay-at-home orders. So, if you live in either South Carolina, Oklahoma, or Utah, please look at your local news. They will have more information than I. Additionally, Dr. Fauci says, stop being dumb, stay at home. In other news, this past week, we did it. Cheers. I'm going to take another mint. No, I'm not. It's getting late. Another! In other news, we finally did it. We passed 1 million corona cases. Aren't you so proud of us? Isn't that what we wanted? A high number? This is the 0.5 I was talking about, so I'm going to take a pause to look at chat first. There has been no developments in chat. Finally, our last point, and what I would argue is our least important point. British Prime Minister Boris Johnson was recently admitted to the hospital because of COVID-19. It was 10 days after he was tested, and as of now, he was still in the hospital, even though he was only put there earlier today. So what a twist. He thinks he'll be fine. It's a precautionary measure. But, you know, he's old. Thank you for coming to the 3rd annual Fireside Chat. I know I said annual. Don't correct me. Let's take a pause to look at chat. Boris! Thank you for coming to the 3rd week of the Fireside Chat. Good evening, and if I don't see you, good night, good morning, and good afternoon. And thank you, Xander, for not calling me this week. It was most appreciated.